Students, I am here to tell you about organizational culture and counseling. Now, what is organizational culture? Organizations, like individuals, come in all shapes and sizes with different cultures and a multiplicity of ways in which they structure their lives. Culture is a term often used to describe differences in organizations. Different cultures reflect the contrasting ways in which organizations manage their internal and external relationships. Just as individuals have their own personalities, which include temperament, interpersonal style, and their particular way of engaging with the world, so organizations have their personality, which determines to a large degree the behavior of the employees. Organizational culture is about the ecology, the ethos, the personality, the atmosphere of a company or institution. It is reflected in the way we do things around here and encompasses values, beliefs, and attitudes that are shared by members of the organization. Organizational culture is a powerful influence on its members, and newcomers are socialized into the prevailing culture very effectively and often unconsciously. Understanding the culture of an organization, institutions, or even a group gives valuable insights into why individuals within these groups act the way they do. The norms that dictate behavior and also help us devise interventions to help people who become ill mentally and physically. It may be that the organizational culture demands behavior from people that makes them ill. For example, the amount of time worked, how emotions are managed, and sometimes totally suppressed. Different organizational cultures and counseling. Like trying to classify individuals into types, extrovert, several authors have attempted to classify organizations by culture. This is both strengths and weaknesses. One of its strengths, it helps us understand in a broad way how to compare and contrast different organization. It allows prediction of what might happen if we know the culture into which some things are being introduced. The weakness is that we cannot take the culture like diagnostic categories for individuals as absolute. We can too easily label the organization without realizing that culture vary in content, in strength, and in intensity. Like individual personalities, organization like individual personalities, organization also have personalities. This classification of the organization is enable us to understand them theoretically. They do not exist in a pure form and may overlap of characteristics. Cultures vary in content, in strength, in intensity, and may contain variety of different culture rather than uniform culture. Now, organizational based on cultures. Critchley and Kesey use the Gestalt cycle to outline six forms of organization that have different ways of getting stuck: the suppressed organization, the historical organization, the knowing and angry organization, the frightened organization, the task organization, and the exhausted organization. Harrison, C. Summerfield, and Outram 1995 has a more recent version of culture introduced by Harrison. Number one, transactional culture, the self expression culture, the alignment culture, the mutuality culture. For counseling provisions, Harrison isolated four types of organizations: role culture, achievement culture, power culture, and support culture. Now, what is role culture? The role organization is characterized by the fact that the things get done around here by people who take on roles and see others in role terms. Because people are defined in terms of their roles and responsibilities, these organizations tend to be somewhat hierarchical with rules and regulation to maintain roles. Authority exists to make sure that people maintain their roles, within them, sort out role conflicts, and principally ensure that the roles are geared towards the specific aims of the organization. The strong and effective role organization is one where individuals know their role and how that role connects to the other roles within the organization. Administration is for the service of the organization and services it well. The degenerate form of the role culture exists where individuals are sacrificed to the organization. There is such an emphasis on role that roles become artificial rather than personal or real. The system can become closed when information is not allowed in from outside, and conserving the past becomes a norm irrespective of the value of innovation and change. Now, how role culture views counseling? Lane writes, while resistant to counseling, if they develop it, counseling is likely to become a system in its own right, detached and accountable to its own professional code, but having little impact on organizational process. Some journal statistics and advice may be passed back to management, but organizational change is not a feature of a service, nor can it be. Role cultures may introduce counseling but will tend to see it as a fix it operation where individuals out of role can be helped to return to full role operations. Unfortunately, counseling can be viewed as punitive within role organization and may be used by managers to sort out their troubled or troubling employees. Counseling will be viewed as a way of moving employees back into role, of managing role conflict, solving role confusion, and generally creating harmony by defining clear role boundaries. Because role organizations tend to be rational in their approach, there may be a little time for or appreciation of emotion feeling. Counseling will be seen as problem solving, is likely be short term and maybe cognitive behavioral. Now, what is achievement culture? The achievement culture concentrates on the work to be done rather than roles. People will cross roles to get the job done and swap responsibilities when needed. Such organizations tend to be small, where individuals are trusted to get on with the job and react to what the job needs. Decisions in achievement organizations are made literally rather than hierarchically, as in the role culture. Individuals are driven and motivated by their enthusiasm for the job or because they have a stake in the company. Collaboration in order of the day, and employees are encouraged to think of new ways of doing work. The strong achievement organization is an existing and creative place to be. Change is part of life. The fact that it was done this way last year is no reason for doing it the same way this year. Rules, regulation, policies, and under constant review. Consultant takes place on all levels. The weak achievement organization sacrifices the team to the individual. Innovation and creativity can be cherished for themselves and not harnessed to the welfare of the organization objectives. The organization can become chaotic rather than organized. Lane 1990 has pointed out how achievement organizations is likely to view counseling. Counseling, if seen as a highly professional resource, may be both provided and dropped as need arises. Where established on a long term basis, it is likely to generate high levels of company referrals, not just individual ones. The organization is likely to demand accountability for results and see counseling as part of the goal of performance. Its impact on company policy is therefore greater. Despite their supportive and friendly atmosphere, achievement organizations find it difficult to cope with counseling. For them, weakness is unacceptable, and whereas the stress the importance of the individual over the organization, it tends to be the healthy and working individual. As soon as individuals fall behind in the rapid, hectic world of the work marketplace, there is a tendency to send them off to have them sorted out. Achievement organizations tend to move toward external counseling provision, which keeps counseling at a distance. Now, what is power culture? The power culture is one where dominance rules, where strength and control are cherished values, and where individuals know their place in the pecking order. Usually hierarchical, leaders are seen as making key decisions, handling individuals without feeling, and keeping clear and tight control on what happens. Motivation is seen as extrinsic and rewards are often monetary or benefits. Such companies may be practical where organization protects the individual as well as the demanding outstanding loyalty from him or her. The organization values uncritical obedience, loyalty, hard work, and in turn offers clear rewards. The strength of the power culture is their ability to get things done, and emergencies are very useful to have around because of their decision making ability. They protect their employees and reward them well. The weakness of power culture is their view of human nature. They subscribe to the view of individual as weak and needing motivation. As a result, they can be very punitive when someone does not live up to the expectation or is not as loyal as he or she is expected to be. They like role cultures will sacrifice the individual to the organization. Counseling may be introduced to power organization as a way of helping weaker employees manage their jobs. It can be aided to welfare with a number of roles, information, advocacy, medical services, or the counseling provision can be external to the organization. Lane 1919 connects counseling and power organization. Counseling, if it has a role at all, is likely to be external and medicalized. Positive power of organizations. Such services are likely to see counseling as a part of welfare function, in house, confidential, and with no impact on organizational change. In general, power cultures are somewhat embarrassed by the weaknesses and tend to deny or ignore it by relegating it to the sidelines of the organization. Now, what is support culture? The support culture organization stresses the value of relationship, mutuality, communication, and looking after its people. The emphasis is on collaborative work, and rewards tend to be intrinsic. The satisfaction of working in the organization. Individuals are trusted to do their work, and support systems are inbuilt to help individuals do their jobs well and reduce stress. Training is the part of the job, and employees are expected to be continually developing. The strong support culture cares for its employees deeply and recognizes, not just in words, that they are the best assets of the company. It sets up support at all levels of organization so that the individuals and teams can work effectively. Individuals will feel they belong to the nurturing group. The degenerative support culture will forget its task and concentrate on team and individual growth. The latter may become a prominent that the task of the organization suffers. Counseling services are seen as a natural part of support cultures. People are expected to have personal and work related problems and need to forum where they can work with these. The organization will be eager to know what the problems and how organizational structures can be changed to help people with their problems. Lane 1990 sees support organization as unlikely to see counseling as a formal service but rather part of the skills within the organization. Counseling services have difficulty in establishing themselves in such organization but sometimes appear and specialist additions, unlimited areas such as aids or career counseling. Support cultures are scarce within the private sector. Many of the organizations talked about by Perry seem to fail within the support culture. For example, organizations set up for the counseling women. I hope you understand the different organizational cultures and counseling. Thank you for watching my video.